Hello and welcome to a look at the Dragon Ninja for the Commodore 64 and later on Amiga, an arcade conversion of a Data East original done by Imagine for the Commodore 64 and Amiga. And I should start by saying that the source material is not exactly the most exciting game in the world, so when it comes to the game being a bit bland, I suppose you can say that Imagine has made it arcade perfect. Regardless, from a graphical point of view, I actually find the Commodore 64 version to be not bad at all. It's not staggering, but it's quite decently looking. At least someone made some sort of effort out of making the different characters and enemies and specifically backgrounds look interesting. The level of animation is questionable, but it is an Imagine game, so you're probably getting more animation frames than you would normally expect. The fight moves available to your character is actually quite surprising. In many ways, it feels a bit like Imagine took the character from ER Kung Fu, which is possibly their best arcade conversion for the Commodore 64 ever, and dropped it into this game, because you have basically a fighting move for every direction on the joystick with or without fire button pressed. Despite those many available fighting moves, you will quickly find that only one or two of them are of any use, and you have this super punch thing that you can spend time charging up, but of course, if you spend time charging up, you are not fighting the enemies and they will be fighting you. Wow, not good. The sound design and the sound effects are punchy sounds, grunty sounds, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing noteworthy, and nothing to complain about as such. The music though, I quite like Jonathan Dunn's compositions normally, and I don't know whether this is the Commodore 64 version of the arcade in-game theme, but the music in this game feels decidedly uninspired. It's not bad, it's just bland. It definitely could have been far more exciting. But the problem is the game as a whole. When you take the individual components, it's a bit of a mess, and that's mainly because of the complete and utter lack of reliable hit detection. Sometimes you hit, and sometimes you don't. And the enemies, they seem to be able to hit you from much further away than you can hit them, which I could prove by doing still frames of the game showing that you get hit from absurd distances sometimes, but you know what? It's too much effort and not necessarily required. Whether you believe me or not, that is entirely up to you. The thing is, because of the fighting becomes very rhythmical, that means just like in Renegade, Target Renegade even, if you get out of the rhythm, you get hit and you don't hit them until you break out of that rhythm and find the rhythm that actually hit the enemies while they do not hit you. Easier said than done when there's 200 million of them and only one of you, of course. The game is mediocre at best because it just lacks excitement on all levels. But, haha, a master programmer, hmm. Let's look at all the people involved with the Amiga version of the Dragon Ninja. There's an old proverb saying something along the lines of too many cooks spoils the broth. And in the case of the Amiga version of Dragon Ninja, that has to be the excuse for this game. You get this very exciting presentation screen, and then you get, unlike on the Commodore 64 version, you actually get a briefing. Some Arnold Schwarzenegger wannabe is telling you what has happened and asking if you are bad enough dude to sort things out. From a graphical point of view, it's an interesting experience, the Amiga version. The quality of the graphics sort of feels like someone decided to make an awful lot of effort and then halfway through decided she couldn't be bothered. Part of the graphics are decidedly decent and other parts are decidedly not decent at all. It's just this weird, bizarre amalgamation of mediocre, average, and absolute crap. Of course, the level of animation is, as you can see, mind-boggling. There's hundreds of animation frames, and it allows for a very smooth running game. It's no stuttering, no slowdowns, no nothing. Everything runs absolutely perfect, and nope, I do not subscribe to sarcasm. Not at all. The sound effects are okay, but the quality is a bit on the low side. And of course the music, to me it sounds an awful lot like the music from Operation Wolf, which I haven't covered on the channel yet. There's the same bass sort of underlying theme going on, and for me the music's quality is fine and dandy, but it's too screechy for my liking. I like more bassy sounds than those high-pitched tones which are quite prevalent in the soundtrack. The gameplay is more or less the same as on the Commodore 64 version, which means that it is decidedly bland. But when it comes to the controls, I read some of your reviews of this game, and I found it rather bizarre that it only seemed like one of the reviews, magazine reviews of course, picked up on a little issue this game has. Because of course, just like on the Commodore 64 version, on the second level you are supposed to jump from truck to truck. Except for the fact that you can't actually jump forwards or backwards. You can jump straight up and you can jump to change level, just like you can in the Commodore 64 version, but any forward momentum in your jumps is not possible. It is such a staggering oversight, such a staggering flaw, that in order to progress in the game you will have to sacrifice some of your precious lives, because you have to wait for the computer to actually show you on top of the next surface you need to be on. It makes the game completely and utterly unplayable. How that got past any sort of quality control is beyond anyone's mind. I think it's proof that there was absolutely no quality control this version of the game. Fighting the end of the level 2 boss, that was difficult. Imagine had a bad name, and they had a bad name for a reason, and a game like this did not help on their reputation. Thanks for watching, take care, see you next time, bye bye for now.